Perfect. So, this is the web. The web is a great place. You can go inside, you can read almost every book you want, you can buy and sell stuff, except if you're this person. Good luck climbing up the stairs. Luckily, there is a solution for this. Here it is. It's a ramp. It's not super hard to do. It's easy to do, just we have to think about those people in the wheelchair. So let's go to the agenda. We have 4 parts. In reality, it's basically 2 parts. One part is about ramps for the web. Then we have lots of demos. We have a lighthouse, which is cool. We have keyboard, which everybody knows. And then finally, we have screen readers, which are super cool. So let's get started, or let's continue with ramps for the web. Here we are. We saw that ramps are quite useful for some people. Many people will not notice them, but for some people, they are super, super helpful. So let's talk more about those people, who they are helpful for. If you read more about disabilities, you will come across something like this, where you can see that there are different types of disabilities. We have motor disabilities. Maybe somebody has no arm, so he cannot use a computer mouse. We have cognitive disabilities. Maybe somebody has a Down syndrome. We have auditory disabilities. Somebody can be deaf. Or finally, visual disabilities. Somebody is blind. And if we describe disabilities like this, we'll think about, web accessibility. This is about those people. We have to build web accessibility for those disabled people. And this is completely the wrong thing. And I try to convince you that you're all disabled most of the time. Let's pick motor disabilities. I said some people do not have arms, so they cannot use a computer mouse. But let's say you do have arms. I see many, many arms in this room. You do have arms, but maybe you also like cycling and you have a bicycle accident and you break your arm. So you have no access to a computer mouse during maybe 1 month. So during this time, you're all disabled. Or maybe, let's shorten the time scale and say you're not having a bicycle accident, but maybe you're carrying something around, or you're holding a baby on your arm. This means you're disabled for some minutes. Or maybe you're just not on your desk, so you do not have a computer mouse, but you want to use your tablet, you want to use your smartphone or smartwatch, so you're also disabled in this situation. So my point is we're all disabled most of the time. And this doesn't apply just to motor disabilities, but it applies to all categories. So now that we're all disabled, by the way, I see no computer mouse here. Let's go back to the ramp and add some other characters. So I'll add a bicycle. This person is also super grateful about the ramp, so he doesn't have to carry the bike up the stairs. And he might also be happy that he can go up much quicker than he could otherwise. Or let's add somebody with luggage who might be only partially happy because it's still super heavy. So we can add an elevator, and maybe he's lost, so we can also make an information desk that helps him to find this elevator. So really, there isn't just one kind of disability, and there isn't just one kind of solution, but there are many types of disabilities and many types of solution. That's it for the theory. With this, let's continue to the lighthouse. The rest of the talk will be only demo parts, which are hopefully funny. Hopefully they'll all work. Here we go. Lighthouse is a great tool. Let's go to a website. I'll head over to Chrome. And Lighthouse is really the first thing you have to do if you're not sure if your website is accessible. It's the one tool that is installed on every computer. It's part of Google Chrome, and you can run it within 10 seconds. Let's try this. I'll open my developer tools. Wow. that was wrong. I tried to close this. Don't save. Command Option I. Here we go. Maybe you know the developer tools. There are many different tabs. You have the elements where you can see all the elements of a web page. You have the console where you can write JavaScript. And you have this lighthouse. It's installed on your computer. So let's run this for this site. By the way, I didn't choose this site because it's especially bad. It's quite good. But I want to show you that every page that, even if it's quite good, it has some accessibility issues, and you can only find them if you test it. And it's really easy to test. Let's test it. I check accessibility and analyze the page load. This takes about 10 seconds. Hopefully it will find something. And of course it does find something. We have a score here of 62. 62 is quite okay, but not really great. So let's try to fix one of those issues. We'll check out this one. I'm showing you this to show you that this lighthouse thing is really great. It's well done, and it helps you a lot finding those issues. So here it says background. Maybe I can make it a bit bigger. Background and foreground colors do not have a sufficient contrast ratio. So if I expand this, I can go here and learn more. Maybe I'm confused by this text. So I click learn more, and I receive lots of great information. I can see how to fix the problem. I can see why it matters, and much more information. If you go through your website and just read those pages, you will learn a lot about accessibility in a very short time. Do it. Let's go back. So, I know what it's about. So here I can select the element, and I can see also on the image that it's about the title. The title is not dark enough compared to the background. The contrast is not good enough. So let's click on this element. And here I will show you another super cool feature of Google Chrome. Just 1 second. So here you can see a colorful square. I can click on it and pick a color. I can pick it at random, and I will be confused. Is it accessible now or not? For this, we have another section which is called contrast ratio 2.01 is not enough. I can expand this. And I see there is a AA criterion and a AAA criterion. Basically, you need to achieve AA. AAA is hard, but it's often also too much. AA is often enough. So if you go back and select the color, you can see that now there are 2 lines. If I go below this first line, you can see that now the AA criterion is achieved. So I can pick this color or just any other color, and my users will be happy. By the way, this is it's quite common that people just don't do it, or in this instance, they even did it on the main page. They selected a different color for this orange. So it's really about not doing the tests. It's really easy to make a website accessible. You just have to check if it is accessible or not. So let's go back to the presentation. So we've seen Google Lighthouse, which is a great tool to learn a lot about accessibility and to improve your website accessibility a lot. Yeah, super easy. If your website is not accessible and you haven't done this, it's really your fault. So let's go to the next one, which is keyboard. Here it is. Well, it still works. Luckily, it still works here. Some many users have a keyboard. Some users use it like from time to time, and some users use only the keyboard. So we'll check out how this can look like if you try to access a website using only the keyboard. For this, we go to the SVB page. SVB is one example. It's a company who does a really, really good job in accessibility. They, if you want to use their website in just any way, it just works. It's super cool. They're doing a good job. So let's try how it looks. And we'll try to find the connection from Zurich to Berlin next Monday at 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. And we're just using the keyboard, no mouse allowed, no trackpad allowed. Here we go. I'll enable a tool, so you can see what I press. I try to type Zurich. Whoa. So if I type something, it's already in the correct field, which is not automatic, but it's super easy to do. You just have to test it if it's right, or you have to fix it if it's wrong. But you have to think about it, but it's not hard. And this is the whole story about my whole presentation in accessibility. Web accessibility is super easy to do. You just have to test it from time to time, and you have to fix those obvious issues. So I select Zurich. I press Tab. You can see in the corner what I'm pressing. I'm in the next field, so now I want to go to Berlin. I can cursor down, tab, 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 tab. I can press space to go to Sunday, then Monday, tab. I press 8, tab, tab. I search for a connection. Then I can tab until I'm at this connection field. I see it's 8:59, which is not exactly 8 a.m. Maybe there's an earlier connection. I can go back, search for earlier connections. This one is still too early. There's 7:59, which is basically 8. With space, I can expand it. I can tab through it. I can press, well, wrong key. I can press to buy a ticket. It just works, which is a good example of a website that does a really good job in accessibility. Now that we've seen SVB, which does a really good job, let's have a look at a different example, also a big company, which is Digitec. Digitec is the biggest online shop in Switzerland, or maybe the biggest online shop in Switzerland, and they're doing rather a bad job in accessibility. So let's try it out here. So if I type something, nothing happens, which is because I didn't put the focus in the correct field. This can happen if you never test it, if you never fix it. Now, I try to find the search field. Well, here it is. So I try to buy a computer. I can, with my cursor, I can go down and select it, which works. That's great. Then I can go further. Maybe I want to select a brand. I expand this with space, which is great. Then I want to tap inside, and there's not really a way to go inside. And I can tap for a long time, and I'm still not inside. And this is a very common example of accessibility issues. It's easy to spot if you do your tests, and it's easy to fix, but you need to test it from time to time. So they have still room to improve. Let's go back to the presentation. Now, we're talking about screen readers, and screen readers, I'll show it to you. Let's open Safari. So we're back on your website. And I'll start the screen readers. Screen readers are the way blind people can access the web. Let's try this out.
VoiceOver on Safari. VIScon window. VIScon web content has keyboard focus. You are currently on web content.
So basically, VoiceOver said, hello, good that you're using me. And we are on this Safari page. The title is VIScon. Here we go. Let's have a look.
About select.
About one way people can access this website if they cannot see.
Heading level 1, about us.
So here we are on this field, on this title, and it says heading level 1, which is the most important heading of this web page. I can type the cursor to move to the next field.
Heading level 2, our vision.
And so on.
Our goal with VIScon is to inspire students to innovate and push the boundaries of what is possible.
That's how it works. If you're a super patient user, you'll read through web pages like this. With this, we can go
Firefox.
back to Firefox. I'll disable this.
VIScon 2 space with Firefox containing window VIScon. Full screen space. VoiceOver.
So, let's have a deeper dive into this screen reader. You've seen that with the cursor, we can move forth and we can also move back to explore the content of a website, but this is a very slow way to access a web page. So I'll show you two different methods. The first one is called headings, and the second one will be links. Headings is like if you're on a web page, and even if you see, basically you will jump from heading to heading to find the interesting part of the website. Let's see how this can work for screen readers. Here we go. I'll enable it again.
Voice about. You are heading level 1, about us.
So I'll jump to the next heading with a special shortcut. With a Mac VoiceOver, this is Command caps lock H, but on every type of device there is a screen reader installed by default, and you can just use it, and it will have a command to jump to the next heading. So let's try this.
Heading level 2, our vision.
Here we go. It's a slightly less important heading.
Heading level 2, VIS. You. About.
Well, so we're at this.
VIS.
We'll jump to the next one.
Heading level 2, team.
Makes a lot of sense.
Heading level 3, Eve.
And then the next one.
Heading level 3, Herstner. You are currently on a head.
Which makes no sense. There are two headings next to each other. One is called Eve and the other one is Herstner. And this is another example of how easy it is to detect accessibility issues. If you're blind and you want to read this page, you will be very, very confused. You will think Eve is one thing, there will be some text. Then Herstner is a different thing, and there will be some text. So let's fix this to show how easy it is to fix.
Show web inspect less than h3 class equals VoiceOver off.
I'll disable this. So here we see that we have one heading level 3 Eve and one Herstner. So let's fix this semantics. I'll change the wrapping element to H3. H3. Here we go, and we'll change those H3s to divs. Divs are elements that have no meaning for screen readers. No, like semantic meanings. So let's try it out.
VIScon web content. About selected.
To the next
You are
heading.
currently on a heading level 2, heading level 2, VIS, heading level 2, Tim, heading level 3, 2 items, Eve Herstner.
So now, if somebody jumps from heading to heading, he will have an understanding what this part of the section is about. Yeah, it's a perfect example on how easy it is to fix those issues, and also how it's not more work to make a website accessible. In the introduction, I said web accessibility is about building ramps for the web, but really most of the time it's about not building stairs for the web. It's not more work to make just one heading element with 2 divs inside than doing 2 headings next to each other. Have I turned it off? No.
You are currently on voiceover off.
We'll head back to the presentation, and we'll check out the first way blind people or people using screen readers can move fast when they're browsing the web. So the first technique is, I call it links. This is because many times when you're using the web, you're not interested in the page you're on. Maybe you're on Google, so you're not interested in Google, but you're looking for a link that leads you to where you want to go. So one common technique is to jump from link to link. Let's have a look at this on the same web page. So I'll start it again.
So, about.
And the command to jump from link to link is command caps lock L. I'll go to one of the first links. Whoa.
This item has no image description. Safari has not this item has no image description. Here, here, about us, a symposium.
So, here we are. We are at this link. Let's do it again.
Visited link, symposium, 2.
So it says, this is a link. We have been there before, and the content of the link, the text inside the link is called symposium, which is a great text for a link. Let's go to the next one.
HACKATHON, visited link.
This sounds super bad, but it's okay, because hackathon is quite a special word, and my screen reader, or the current version of my screen reader, doesn't know this word. Users who will use screen readers will come across this from time to time, and they're used to it. It's not super bad. But let's go on to find something worse.
About us, visited link.
Which is great.
Here, link.
Which is not so great, not so helpful. If you're jumping from link to link and maybe here it's just one link that says here. But from time to time you will come across a website that says here, there, here, visit here, and so on. And this is really super not helpful. So let's fix this issue.
Voiceover off.
So the text is here, but what it does is it describes visit our website here, and our website in this case is the Vis website, if I'm right. So let's fix the text inside this link. Here we go. We have the link element with here as content, and we have some text before. Let's cut this and put it inside. And what? Here, visit this website here. Something like this. So if we jump again from link to link.
US. You visit the VIS website here. Link.
So if you, with just this little tweak, it's so much more useful. It's so helpful for those screen reader users. That's it for my screen reader demo.
VoiceOver off.
Let's turn it off. So we've seen that with a screen reader, screen readers are the device blind people use to access the web. And I've shown you 3 common techniques on how to move quickly inside web pages. The whole presentation again, web accessibility is about building ramps for the internet or about not building stairs for the internet. We've seen 3 cool tools. Lighthouse, use it. If you don't use it and your website is not accessible, it's really your fault. It's so easy, it's so quick. Use it and you'll learn a lot about web accessibility. Then we have the keyboard. Be aware that some users really use the keyboard all the time and only the keyboard. And finally, we have seen how screen readers can be used. Maybe a last word about screen readers. This might be new. It is new to most people, and this is also kind of new to the world. In the 80s, there was just no screen reader around. You couldn't, if you were blind, you were not able to use the computer. Then in the 90s, the first screen readers appeared, but they were super expensive. And nowadays, they're really everywhere. You have it on every device. I have it here on my Mac. Everybody has. On Microsoft, it will be narrator. On your iPhone, it's also VoiceOver. On the Android, it's TalkBack. There's really on every device. Also on Linux, if you're running Linux, there's screen readers everywhere. So, yes. So that's it for my presentation. This is me, obviously. I'm Xaver. I'm developer at Leap. Leap is a company located in Switzerland, in 6 cities of Switzerland. We're here in Zurich. I work in Bern, but we're also from St. Gallen down to Lausanne, also in Basel. So we're really everywhere. That's it. I'm on Twitter. You can send me a message, and I'll be happy. Thank you. Yeah. Wait.
Recording. And this is the only thing we have.
So do the people learn this when they are like a web designer, or if they're disabled, do they get a special course or during school or whatever for formation that they know how to use it? Because, for example, the one with the keyboard where you can just use tab for the SPB website, I didn't know about it, and I have no idea how I could find information about this if I didn't even fathom that this possibility exists. Yeah.
So maybe you all have better answers. I guess most of you are students in this. In the company world, it really depends on the company. Some companies really think it's important to do this from time to time, and they will do courses internally. Other companies will not care so much. Many programmers never have heard about this, and that's why a lot of websites are not as good as they could be. Yeah. In my case, we had an accessibility expert in my company, so I kind of learned from him that this really is a thing and what can be done about it. That's it, but there are resources everywhere. If you all know it now, and if you want to read more about it, there are many, many resources on the web.
First of all, thank you. I think I agree. For me, this was the first time being introduced to accessibility in the context of ETH and not through self-study, so it was very interesting. My question would be, can web developers provide a dictionary that kind of gives information on the pronunciation of different words? Because this just came to my mind when we saw Hackathon, the screen reader not being able to pronounce it. Is there some kind of ARIA tag that allows me to say, okay, this is how you pronounce it?
Maybe there is. I'm not aware of one. There might be. It might work in Some of you may be programmers, and you know that if you develop a website, it will work differently on maybe Google Chrome than on Internet Explorer. So if there exists a tag that where you can define the pronunciation, it might work in some screen readers, but not in others. It's the same kind of problem. So I think there might exist one, but I've never seen one, and I've never used one.
More questions?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, not so much a question. I would have had the same question about the pronunciation, but from experience, I can say I tried to use a keyboard-based browser called Qt browser a while back, where you navigate like with Vim. So it's a bit different than navigating with just a tab.
Cool.
But I had to stop using it after a few months because I would say tons of websites just misuse JavaScript. So instead of using links and buttons, they use just divs and add the JavaScript on a click. So you can't even click on like half of the things.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Just an anecdote. Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The browser too is kind of cool, in a way.
Which one?
Qt browser. Yeah. All right, more questions?
So thank you for coming.